detect and talk of the day, August the 20th, 7:36, almost, 2024. The mighty Deus 2 here. We're going to talk about the Deus 2. Which version, in Sharpshooter's opinion, which version of the last three released for this machine is the worst? How about that? And what I mean by that is, which one of these three versions are you more apt to miss a find with, based on what I've seen? I'm going to give you a video at the end of this to let you see this, okay? And you get to draw your own conclusions, okay? You can remember, you can put any version in your Deus 2 you want to. Version 1.00, in my opinion, is deficient. All the modes, meaning if you looked at general, sensitive, I show sensitive FT and fast. All right. Now let's talk a little more about this salt beach hunting. You know, when you could never test. It'd be hard to actually test and know what you're looking at hunting in the water with that machine, wouldn't it? Be hard, wouldn't it? I mean, the only thing you could do is what? Either have a flashlight and have a scuba diver down there that could go down there and manually dig out what you've come across to see what the shit your detector has detected, and the proximity orientation to whatever's down there, huh? But the frequency used in the water that remains stable, I guess one could maybe assume you would see similar performance versus checking it in wet salt sand, huh? So those tests I showed yesterday, using the beach program, if you go to wet salt sand and you take you some wire, some fish hooks, and some gold rings, and try that, what I tried in that wet salt sand, adjusting that frequency shift, will you see what I showed? I mean, you really can't do this out in the water. You see where I'm going with this? You see, people get metal detectors and they go out in the water hunting. Well, if you just use it and go blindly out there, you could probably never figure out what I showed in that detect and talk of the day yesterday, could you? Be hard to, wouldn't it? You see where I'm going with this? You've got all these people out here. Some of them try to attack me or try to make me less of a sensible person. Oh, you got to go out in the wild and prove it, what you're showing on that foam sharpshooter. You got to go prove it. Dig a lot of targets. Be hard to do out in that water when you're waist deep or neck deep or shoulder deep, though, wouldn't it? We don't hear that talked about much, do we? So yeah, looking at your detector's tendencies can help. But yeah, when you're talking about a saltwater environment, oh yeah, this would even apply, believe it or not, to high mineralized areas, dirt hunting. The stuff that I show on this foam, likely on high mineralized dirt, when you start getting into 5 bar and higher dirt, we'll call it, yeah. But not a lot of people in this country use detectors in such an environment. Okay. So anyway, you're going to see this video clip where I have compared sensitive FT and fast. Version 2.00 will be last. Version 1.00 will be first. And it is obvious to me, if you figure noise canceling that machine, doing frequency scans, version 100 is at a disadvantage. Okay. And this may have something to do more with targets closer to the coil. But still, a nice find can exist there, right? So anyway, this is going to conclude the talking part. Now we're going to go into the actual video part so you all can see. And again, you get to use whichever version you decide to use. But sensitive FT across those three versions, 1.0, 1.1, and 2.0, behave very similar, okay? And I think you're at a disadvantage using that program even. In all of those three modes, you could not go into a high iron sight and hunt using that program and necessarily walk out of there thinking you've got all the goods. You'll see why when you see the video clips. Have a nice day, everybody. Okay, this is version 1.0. And I've got that nickel marked, okay? But I'm not going to move it using version 1.0. When I come back out with, we'll just put 2.0 in the machine. And I may move the nickel just to show you that it's detecting the nickel. So this is version 1.0. Okay, we're going to look at sensitive program. At silencer 1. Okay. Reactivity 3 and all. Alright. Default disc in all. See it there? No bottle cap in all. Now, silencer 1, 3 tones in the sensitive. Sensitive FT, full tones, offset, all default, no bottle caps. Silencer at 1. Speed 3. Fast program. Silencer at 1, default disc, no bottle cap. Speed 3. Okay. Frequency max, channel 2. Okay. That's where it's at. We'll just check a couple here. You hear that? Iron tone, channel 3. Channel 1. So we're just going to look at channels 1, 2, and 3 in these three programs, okay? Sensitive FT, you know the settings already. Frequency max, channel 1. You hear that? Iron tone. Channel 2. Channel 3. Now, in this sensitive FT, if I go to channel 6, you hear that? I've got 54 in the window. So I showed you that sensitive FT. Alright, now we're going to sensitive program. Frequency max. Channel 1. You hear that? Channel 2. Channel 3. Alright, you hear that. And if I go all the way over here to channel 6, watch what happens. Alright. So you've seen those three modes. All at silencer 1, version 1.0. And channels 1, 2, and 3 yielded 1 on that nickel there. Setting above that horseshoe. Now, if I go to channel 6, and I didn't show it, in the fast program real quick. Frequency max. Channel 6. You hear that? Channel 3. Alright. Now what I will do here, we'll make an exception here. Channel 6. Okay. Fast program. You hear that, right? What I'm going to do, I'm not going to do this in all the modes. Okay. The nickel's gone. I'm still in channel 6. Okay. So we don't hear audibly what we heard with the nickel up there, correct? I don't think it's so too overly critical here, okay? Now the nickel is back up there. What do we hear in channel 6? Let me get my call right here. You hear that? I've got that ID in that window. You see that? So now I'm going to go put version 2 in this machine. Okay, I've got 2.0 in the machine. Okay. Sensitive FT. Default everything. Silencer at 1. All I did is changed reactivity to 3. You see that? Sensitive FT. Default everything. I changed silencer to 1. Fast program. Default everything except I changed the silencer to 1. All this speed 3. Every single program. Okay. I did go in and turn auto TID off. Iron TID off. There's no there's manual frequency scan selected. No auto. Okay, we're in the fast program. Frequency max. We're going to go to channel 2. Watch what happens here. You hear that? You see that ID in that window right there? Let me open this screen up. You see that? 62, 64 in that window. Okay. We're going to go to sensitive program. Frequency max. Okay, we'll look at channel 1. Frequency channel 1. I've got ID in the window with a signal. Okay. Channel 2, sensitive program. You see that ID? Hear that signal? That's a sweep. Sensitive program, channel 3. You see that ID in the window and you hear that signal. Okay, now we're going to sensitive FT, okay. Frequency max, channel 3. You hear that? Now I'm in silencer 1 on this program. To show you I'm in silencer 1. There's no tricks. Channel 3, sensitive FT, silencer 1. You don't hear that nickel, do you? You don't hear it. Channel 2. You don't hear that nickel. Channel 1. Now channel 0's no better. Now watch what happens here. Channel 6. You hear that? Now before I turn this camera off, we'll go back to fast program. Frequency max, channel 2. I've got 64 in the window on that little meter up there on the side, okay? Channel 3. Channel 1. Still got ID, channel 0. Alright. Now we're going to double back real quick to sensitive FT. Channel 2 and channel 2. You don't hear anything. Channel 3. You don't hear any sign of that nickel. Channel 6. Now offsets at 5. You hear that signal, right? Listen. Okay, now I'm going to leave this machine just like it is with our channel 6. Now the nickel is gone. There's nothing up there for the detector to detect. Do we hear different audio now? Sensitive FT channel 6. Yes, we hear a different audio signature, don't we? Notice that. Now we couldn't detect the nickel in channel 3 sensitive FT. We don't hear anything similar to what we heard in channel 6 for audio signature when the nickel was up there. Okay, now let's go to fast program. Okay, we're in channel, well, let's look at channel 2. Channel 2. So you hear that, you hear the sound. On sweet, listen. Alright. Now let's put this nickel in here. Alright, it's in there. What do we hear now? We hear something different, don't we? You see that? Alright, let's go over here to sensitive program, or sensitive, yeah, sensitive program. Channel 2. Now the nickel's back up there, let's listen. You see the ID in the window? 62. You hear the signal on sweep. Now I'm going to remove the nickel. Now the nickel's gone. What do we hear in this mode now? What do we hear? We hear something different, don't we? There's no ID ever comes in that window. You see that? Okay. So this video here will be after the detecting talk of the day, with me making some comments, okay? This was version 2.0.0, what I can do. Now the one before was 1.00. I didn't show you that, but you clearly see the two versions are behaving different with the same piece of equipment, meaning same remote and same coil, 9 inches. I'm turning the detector on so you can see the version that I just showed, 2.0.0. Now, version 1.00 behaves very, very similar to this version, unlike 1.00, comparing the 3 modes that I've showed in this entire video here.